What's up, y'all? I just want to start this video off by saying that if you're here for the topic of this video, for the tea of what this video is going to be about, then just click off, because the title obviously says what this is going to be. And if you were never a part of my life, or you're not currently a part of my life, I feel like it doesn't concern you anyways. Kind of gives off creepy vibes if you don't know me, but I mean, that's kind of an over-exaggerated opinion. I'm just kind of feeling this way because of how sensitive the subject matter is. And if I'm covered in a blanket right now because I just want to be comfortable, like, this is something that obviously takes a lot out of a person to talk about. And, you know, regardless of what I say, I know people are going to watch this video whether they care about my opinion on it or not. So I'm just going to, like, tell y'all my story, pretty much, like, the situation of how all this went down and how I came to the conclusion of me, like, discovering this. So some of my close friends know, very few at this point. But at the beginning of this year, around January to February, I was taking classes in college, like taking on-campus courses. It would have been my first semester taking courses on campus, just because I did online my first year. And of course, all of that got interrupted by COVID, literally in February, right after the semester started. So anyways, I had went all of January and some of February, and I just had to stop because I mentally went into this downward spiral. Like, it's the worst my mental state has ever been in a long time, or probably ever. And it was just bad. So I had to stop going. And after I stopped going, obviously, like, I had to drop out of most of my classes because majority of them were face-to-face. So I dropped out of all those, and like, you know, at the same time, like, maybe a week or two after I dropped out, COVID happened. So jobs weren't available, like, you really couldn't do anything. You had to be quarantined, you couldn't go anywhere, which was fine. I don't have a problem being quarantined, but it was just, everything added up. So I just fell into this deep depression. Like, I could not get out of bed. I couldn't even get out of bed to shower. Like, I know it's gross, but if you've had major depressive episodes, then you know what I'm talking about. Like, it can get really bad. And not only that, like, it was just terrible anxiety. Even social anxiety. I've never had social anxiety. Like, I've always been fine with people, but at this time, I guess something happened, and I just wasn't. And I'm just gonna say, like, everything I've said so far regarding what happened to me mentally, it's way worse than that. There's some stuff that I can't really share with you today, and maybe in another video I will share it. I've told one person as of yesterday. I've told one person, and obviously my family knows, like, the rest of the situation. But I'm just gonna continue, like, with the rest of everything, and the events that happened, you know, leading up to this conclusion. So all that happened mentally, and I eventually had to seek help. I've went to hospitals. We searched resources, and for the longest time, we thought I couldn't get put into therapy or psychiatry because it's so expensive. Like, even for a higher class family, like, therapy is so expensive. You have to pay so much per session, per hour. So we didn't think that was a possibility until we went to this one hospital. Like, I was literally in the process of getting admitted, but they wouldn't admit me because, you know, I was depressed, but I wasn't suicidal. And so I went into this, like, assessment place, like this office, and they gave me information for free therapy through this company called NAMI. So we went to their office, like the Northeast Clinic, and I went in, and then they give you this assessment, and they talk to you about what their treatment is going to be, what, when you're going to be able to get on medication, everything. And I went into this place with like this office where there was like an assessment nurse type person. I think she was actually a caseworker, and she was asking me all these questions, but the question that I want to point out today is that she asked me, are you confused about your sexuality? And I told her, I was like, nobody's ever asked me that, so that's a new thing for me. Like, I realized in my head, I was like, nobody's ever asked me that. So it kind of just hit for me, like, because the fact that I was so depressed, just the confusion of it all, it was like an awakening for me. Like, it made me realize, like, a lot of shit added up after that. And things just started coming to light, and it's like everything was hidden until I was asked that question. And I think a lot of answers came to after I found out. Like, I was so scared because I was sitting next to my mom when the person asked the question, and she was raised in an environment, I mean, she grew up in the 60s and 70s, and they were not accepting of, anything, like, they homosexual, whatever. And so it was terrifying for me because she has had beliefs. They're not necessarily homophobic, but they're not praising it. You know what I'm saying? So I was terrified. And, I said, I was like, yes, I'm confused. And she was like, regarding what? And I said, like, I think I'm bi. And I just looked at my mom. I was like, Mom, I'm sorry. Like, I know you don't agree with that stuff. And she was like, I love you and I accept you for whoever you are. And what she had told me first, she was like, it's okay. Like, it's okay to be confused. And it was just so much relief off my back when she said that. And so ever since then, like, I was still confused at first for multiple reasons, like, and the thing is, like, the fact that I was confused was making my depression even worse. It was making my mentality even worse. So me being in a better position now, I'm realizing that me being comfortable with knowing who I am and what I am, it makes me feel better. Like, it makes me less frustrated, because it's like nobody wants to be confused. You want to know who you are. You want to know your identity. So it just made everything better. And a lot of people, including my family, actually it's mostly my family, have told me, like, you don't have to share this with people. You can just be yourself and keep it to yourself. And I agree with that to an extent, but the thing is, I haven't expressed this to anybody. I haven't expressed this to any of my friends, obviously not strangers, no one. And I can't. It's just so hard, and not only that, but I have to have those individual conversations with every single one of my friends. And I'm not ready to do that. Like, it would just be too much for me. I know my friends would care, and I know they wouldn't mind. Like, they would be comfortable with me expressing myself. Like, my friends are some of the greatest people in my life. It's me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's me. I'm just a very self-conscious person, and it just would have been too hard for me. Like, I feel like I can express myself in front of my friends, but for some reason when it comes to this kind of stuff, I just can't. And so not only that, but I was realizing that I would have conversations with girls and they would be bi or whatever, and I would be telling them, like, oh, you're so pretty, da da da, but they didn't know I was bi. And because there was that lack of communication, it just was hard for me to be like, oh, by the way, I'm bi. It's just caused conflict for so many things. The last thing I want to touch on is, this kind of happened, like, when I got out of high school, and I just noticed, like, I haven't been dating anybody. It was mainly the dating aspect of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could have friends and whatever, talk to people, but connect, like, I wasn't feeling emotionally attracted to anybody, like, of the male species. So I don't know, it was just like, in my head I was like, why am I feeling this way? Like, why am I not catching feelings? Like, I'm not feeling the least bit of connection with anybody. And that's just another thing, like, that's what I'm saying when I say things started adding up. Like, all of it started making sense. So I'm just happy that I got to this, chapter of my life where I'm finally accepting myself. And I have my reasons for making this video. It would have been too hard for me to just keep going with this privately, because I don't want that part of myself to be hidden anymore. And I want to be open. Like, I want this to be out there. Like, this, that's just how it is. So, thank y'all.